My name is Brock Lesnar, and I'm the baddest man on this planet.
He enters the arena, and the mood changes. One look from him makes grown men shiver in fear.
I enjoy hurting people.
It's Brock Lesnar's world. We're just in it.
A predator turned human, the most credible wrestler of all time. Unpredictable, terrifying, a name like a thunderbolt.
I think there's a part of him that likes to be intimidating to people.
He doesn't just fight to win, he fights to dominate. Because Lesnar loves the feeling when his opponent is at his mercy.
What is it like to simply maul somebody?
Oh, it's a good feeling. Handling another human being and making them feel less than you was something that I got a thrill out of.
Born to fight, fight to kill, ready to die, but I never will.
Who is Brock Lesnar? I'm an ass-kicking son of a bitch. I don't respect anybody. I don't care what people think about me. I could give two who I piss off throughout my entire day. All in all, like the best.
Hey, don't break the table, obviously.
Crazy at times, dealing with Brock Lesnar, I'm sure. He has a very, very unique personality.
Ah! I'm Brock Lesnar, and I'm back.
Some find his style impressive, others hate him for it. Lesnar is being criticized like never before. A former employee accuses former CEO of WWE, Vince McMahon, of sexual abuse. Lesnar is also mentioned in the lawsuit. He was allegedly involved in McMahon's dark machinations. None of this has been confirmed in court, but many fans are outraged because these are not the first allegations of this kind.
Brock put his finger in her vagina.
Clamps down and squeezes with his right hand.
He exposed himself to me at the Insurrection pay-per-view. Brock did the whole thing.
Scandalous headlines have cast a dark shadow over Lesnar's career, but when he made his comeback, the crowd reaction was still in his favor. Lesnar is back, in the most fearsome version of himself, more massive than ever before. Discussions about steroid use have haunted Lesnar throughout his career. When asked about it, he has always been evasive.
This is so big, and we'll see you come out of the world of pro wrestling.
We're done.
In this documentary, we attempt the impossible. We want to understand Brock Lesnar. Without cliches, without easy answers, we take a rare look into his private life, look behind the scenes of his successes, and tell the story of a man who is as terrifying as he is vulnerable.
He's an interesting dude. Everything that you've heard about him and read about him is dead on.
You know, he was actually saying things that would probably get him canceled, like homophobic terms that you shouldn't be saying.
Well, really, I'm no different on TV than I really am. I really don't like people. I'm sorry, I don't.
If Brock is your friend, he will give you the shirt off his back. Nicest guy in the world, fun, cool to hang around with. If he doesn't like you, he's what you're seeing on TV, that's not an act.
Brock Lesnar has many faces. The bully at school, the thug in the bar, the entertainer in the spotlight, the filthy rich businessman, the best fighter in the world, but also the loyal friend, the supportive father, the husband who needs his home as a retreat, a life full of contradictions, a man caught between violence and responsibility, between the stage and his privacy, between beast and man. His taste in music gives an insight into his personality.
I'm a hardcore country guy. And then on the other side of things, Metallica, AC/DC.
The two sides of Brock Lesnar that shine through again and again. The easy rancher and the aggressive brawler.
If God was to sit there and like build a warrior, I think it would come out to be Brock Lesnar.
That is one big dude.
Brock Lesnar is a bona fide monster.
Athletically, Brock Lesnar is far superior to anyone.
The animal is licking his lip.
Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants to do. God's gifted me with great looks and one hell of a body, you know? And that helps. When you got this going on, girl.
Lesnar loves the spotlight, but avoids it at the same time. He enjoys it, but has to spend weeks recovering from it. His talent is fighting, and making scripted fights look real. Two of his greatest assets.
I never turned down a fight, even as a young kid. I hate to say it, but ever since I was a little kid, I just been a bully.
Lesnar's roots tell a lot about him and still shape him today.
I grew up in South Dakota.
Brock Edward Lesnar. He weighed 9'9", and they called him pork chops.
Yeah, this is the farm I grew up on. We used to have about 200 head of cows. I left here in 1996.
Brock's childhood was not one of action figures and matchbox cars. Every day he had to milk the cows, muck out the barn, haul hay and firewood. Endless fields and heavy machinery were his playground.
Even at the age of 4 and 5, he wanted to help on the farm. He was really a worker.
His raw strength comes from incessant work, from dawn to dusk on most days. He also started strength training at the early age of 7.
He likes showing off his muscles.
I was always active. I was always doing push-ups, always doing sit-ups, always working out as long as I can remember. It's kind of backwoodsy, you know, kind of out in the country. Not a lot going on. Everybody knows everybody and everybody knows everybody's business. Used to have some good times here and some hard times.
We didn't have a hell of a lot to, you know, there wasn't extra money left over for us. You just get used to living like, like you're broke, and we were broke. And so you just get, it's a way of life.
The people in his hometown of Webster remember Brock with amazement.
Brock was robust.
Very independent, headstrong.
I don't think his arms were bigger than that around.
Oh, I've known Brock since he was, do I dare to tell him? Since you were in diapers?
Brock had a reputation, but not necessarily a good one.
I was a very aggressive young kid, eager to do anything, always up for any challenges.
As a young kid, I was a kid that was beating up the other kids on the playground. I always had a chip on my shoulder, and I still do. I don't know why, but that's just my attitude.
Those who saw him grow up say, Brock never cried. He simply didn't allow himself to. Sometimes children forbid themselves to cry out of fear of showing weakness or because they have learned that tears are not allowed. Psychological research shows that suppressed negative emotions often lead to aggressive behavior in children. When they cannot find a suitable outlet, children resort to what is tangible: their body, their strength, their impulse. In Brock's case, grief became anger, and pain became aggression. Even as a boy, he vented his anger in fights. His body became an outlet. What seemed like coldness to some was actually a protective mechanism, an armor that he put on early in his life to never appear vulnerable. Eventually, he channeled his frustrations and began to wrestle. On the mat, he could let his anger out without getting in trouble.
I can remember people being scared to wrestle me because I was very physical. If you wrestle me, you're going to get beat up.
Other people have feelings, but I don't have feelings.
His wrestling coach remembers moments when Brock went so crazy after losing a round that he could hardly be contained.
He always had a little bit of a temper and was very aggressive.
But there was a problem. Time and again, Brock had to compete below his weight class. It was the same thing every match. Brock outweighed his opponents. He tried to lose weight, but he just couldn't do it.
So we just decided that he was going to be a big guy and we'd keep feeding him.
Yeah, I was always hungry, always. It was like I had a tapeworm.
When he worked for me on the farm, we had 7 hired men and our own kids, and we would eat one meal and my mother would make a separate meal for Brock because he would eat all ours if we didn't.
His massive body also helped him in other sports. Brock was one of the best high school football players in the state.
Yeah, I was good. I had more scholarship opportunities as a football player. I had 0 opportunities as a wrestler coming out of high school.
But after high school, Brock was disoriented. The country life was simple, which he liked, but also monotonous. Young people in Webster had to make their own entertainment. Brock hunted a lot, drove for hours along the endless gravel roads of the prairie, and drank alcohol almost every day. Between freedom and emptiness, he didn't know what to do with himself. He felt out of place, like a man born in the wrong era. He would have preferred to be a Viking, a warrior from another time.
It would be good to be a medieval soldier and a swordsman. Like, here's many of my swords.
Brock joined the military at 17. He wanted to get out of Webster. He wanted to get out of boredom. He dreamed of war, of living a soldier's life, preferably in the explosive squad. But things turned out differently. The test showed Brock is colorblind. He has a red-green deficiency. Instead of front lines, bullets, and explosions, he got a desk job, and he hated it. When he failed a simple computer typing test, his military service ended. Back in Webster, he started working for a construction company. Heavy physical labor.
I spent almost 2 months in the basement that I was living in the house that we were renting. And I fell into probably some depression, where I fell into a rut where I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself.
During this time, Lesnar had one fight after another. While his friends went to parties to have fun, Brock went to fight.
He likes to beat on people. He grew up beating on people. Him and his brothers were fighting all the time.
Brock's older brothers are also tough as nails, and they had a criminal youth.
I grew up 6 years younger than my 2 older brothers who were getting out of jail on Monday mornings to go to school because of street fights and you know.
The Lesnar boys drove their mother to despair. There wasn't a day without a fight.
When did you stop getting picked on as the little brother?
When I was 19 and I kicked my brother. It was just World War III in our house. I fought my older brothers, put them through the kitchen tables when I finally grew up.
Lesnar recounts a heated argument with his older brother. They were drunk and fought all over the house.
All kinds of things throughout the house got broken, but we got it settled and we moved on from there.
Their parents were horrified by the chaos and reacted with relief when Brock said he was moving out. He went to college. The women didn't like him very well. He was too withdrawn, too rough, too focused on himself. Studying wasn't his strong suit either. He skipped lectures, courses, and exams. He never graduated. He was only there for the sport. At the University of Minnesota, he shared a room with another wrestler, Shelton Benjamin. The two became friends for life. Lesnar was incredible on the mat, the best wrestler his coaches ever had.
Brock Lesnar from Minnesota is your heavyweight champion in the year 2000.
Lesnar won the NCAA Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, making him the best wrestler in the United States in his age group and weight class. To this day, Lesnar says this was his proudest moment. But the next opportunity already came knocking. WWE scouts became aware of Lesnar and were keen to sign him up.
I'd never watched a lick of wrestling, and I'm like, oh man, that's not wrestling. That's like, that ain't real. But then they slapped a lot of money on the table, only $250,000.
Brock Lesnar was immediately recruited by WWE and signed what was at the time the biggest developmental contract in sports entertainment history, and deservedly so.
Lesnar was now in WWE's developmental promotion, OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling. Here, he learned the craft of show wrestling, and he met a man who would shape his career for decades. Paul Heyman became his mentor. He immediately saw Lesnar's huge potential, a diamond in the rough, ready to be polished.
I am coming to seek and destroy.
Even in training, Lesnar immediately stood out. While others took months to learn moves, he just did them. One time he did a shooting star press, one of the most spectacular moves in wrestling, without any training beforehand, and he landed perfectly, precise and clean.
Brock is a freak of nature. He's the most talented, most gifted athlete I've ever seen in my life.
He's a guy, you put him in any era and it's gonna work. He's a once-in-a-lifetime athlete.
But as impressive as Lesnar was in the ring, his dark side quickly came to the forefront. A disrespectful youngster, quick to anger, and confrontational. For example, he got into a fight with manager Kenny Bolin. Lesnar accused him of kissing his girlfriend. Bolin vehemently denied this. Brock's girlfriend at the time also joined in Bolin's defense.
She says, Brock, he never touched me. I hand to God, he turns to her and he says, shut up, bitch, you know better. She gave him a look like, well, this relationship just ended.
Lesnar punched Bolin in the face before other wrestlers intervened. There were many situations like this. Young Brock was considered an asshole. He was always looking for fights and made up reasons to take his anger out on others. That is the reason why many former colleagues still dislike him to this day. And he crossed one line after another. According to several people involved, Lesnar allegedly molested a female co-worker. They described the incident as follows. The victim was wrestler Stacey Cornette, now wife and then girlfriend of Jim Cornette, Lesnar's supervisor, the creative director of OVW.
Spotfight calls for Brock to pick Stacey up over his head, and Stacey said, that's fine, but I just got my vagina pierced today and it's very sore.
Anyway, so he's telling Stacey all day, when I get you up there, I'm gonna squeeze it. She's like, brother, don't do that.
Brock picks her up and not only touches the vagina, Brock put his finger in her vagina.
Fucking clamps down and squeezes with his right hand.
Jim Cornette was furious and wanted Lesnar fired. However, Cornette was not the final authority. Final decisions were up to Jim Ross and Vince McMahon. They saw Lesnar as a future top star even then and protected him accordingly. Lesnar was therefore able to continue. Just like back in high school, he was the dreaded bully at wrestling school. He once made a young referee cry. Shouting at them, intimidating them, provoking a violent response, that was his pattern. He treated people he saw as inferior with condescension. Lesnar had respect for colleagues if they were tall and muscular, if they could fight back. Big Show, for example. They became friends and had eating contests. Stories tell of 20 steaks or 50 burgers in one sitting. Nobody knows whether the numbers are correct, but Lesnar's appetite was legendary. After 2.5 years of talent development, Lesnar ran out of patience. He felt ready for the next step.
Brock Lesnar had learned all he was going to learn in developmental. And he was tired of developmental money. So Brock made a decision. Move me up to the main roster or kiss my ass goodbye.
When Brock Lesnar had his first dark matches or non-televised matches, he met his boss, Vince McMahon, backstage. Vince saw him, scrutinized his body, and engaged him in an enthusiastic conversation. From then on, the CEO constantly raved about Lesnar and even invited him to his home. Lesnar felt valued and was eager to learn.
You know, you spend a lot of time going up and down the road. The best time to learn is in the car. I would ask Kane and Taker.
Kane and Undertaker talked to him about match psychology, about how a good match is structured and how best to interact with the fans. They also trained together. Lesnar and Kane were notorious for setting the maximum weight on every piece of equipment and loading the barbells to the limit. Backstage, word spread quickly that Lesnar was something special. Other wrestlers gathered behind the curtain to watch his matches. The veterans were dumbfounded because Brock's execution was flawless. Everyone expected him to make rookie mistakes, but Lesnar knew exactly what he was doing. His ample experience as a brawler made it easy for him to make a fight look real.
He's actually, from my experience,
way stronger than he even looks. He's like the Incredible Hulk.
In matches with veterans, Lesnar quickly took the lead. He didn't want to be submissive, handled and guided by a more experienced wrestler.
He just took it into his own hands to pick me up and slam me on the mat as hard as he could. I didn't know it was coming, but it showed that he's not going to be intimidated just because I'm Booker T and I've been around this business for a while.
Even as a rookie, Brock was already doing his own thing in the ring, but always in a clever and credible way, and that earned him respect. He was physically superior to everyone on the roster. He proved this in a backstage fight with Mark Henry, two-time Olympic weightlifter, also called the world's strongest man. What began as a test of strength quickly turned into a brawl.
Brock, the only person ever I feel like I got beat in a fight. That's the only person that ever handed me my ass.
Many were excited about Lesnar, but one veteran remained skeptical: Hardcore Holly. Holly was notorious for testing rookies. He physically abused them in the ring and didn't hold back. Colleagues say Holly hated everyone until they had earned his respect. He kicked young talents in the ribs with full force, pulled their hair, rubbed his boot in their face, and at Tough Enough he went so far as to bloody up-and-coming wrestler Matt Cappotelli. When Hardcore Holly entered the ring opposite Brock Lesnar, the tension was palpable. A match full of toughness, of mistrust, and it ended brutally with a life-threatening injury.
When Brock turns into bully mode, this guy can do damage like no other.
Holly wrestled an extremely stiff style, but Lesnar took it all on the chin. Then Lesnar went for the powerbomb, but it went wrong.
He fell onto his head and landed right on top of his head. I mean, it was really bad. It didn't look as bad on TV, but if you slow it down, you could tell Bob messed his neck up pretty bad.
Many claimed Holly didn't help Lesnar with the move, but intentionally made the powerbomb difficult for Lesnar. According to some, he wanted to make Lesnar look weaker. Lesnar didn't want to be sabotaged and dropped Holly on his neck. Others say it was simply a tragic accident. Holly later claimed that there was no conflict. However, it remains unclear why Lesnar simply dropped Holly from such a dangerous position. To this day, there are rumors and conflicting accounts of the incident, but Lesnar now had the respect of everyone: wrestlers, officials, and fans. Vince McMahon saw him as the next big thing.
I got a rocket strapped to my ass. Let's send this kid to the moon and see if he can survive.
Just a few months after his debut, Lesnar won the King of the Ring tournament. This put him in the top title match against The Rock at SummerSlam, which he won. At the age of just 25, he became the youngest ever WWE Undisputed Champion. That same year, he engaged in a brutal feud with The Undertaker. Lesnar threatened Taker's wife. Bloody battles ensued, establishing Lesnar as an unstoppable monster.
Oh! Propane tank! Off the arm of The Undertaker!
Viciousness, athleticism, and raw strength and energy, and he had those intangibles that it's hard to teach people.
The next summer came the next show of force, when he mercilessly destroyed Hulk Hogan. Then Big Show, a giant that hardly anyone could get off the ground, but Lesnar took him apart. Big Show was stunned after the matches with Brock. He couldn't believe how strong Brock was. It was the first time that someone had picked him up like a child and thrown him onto the mat without any problems. Their legendary moment came a little later. When Big Show and Lesnar crashed off the ropes, the entire ring collapsed. One of the most iconic scenes in wrestling history. Brock had fun in his job. He was at the top of the wrestling world and found his calling there.
There's some nights I lay in bed and really believe that God put me on this earth to be a professional wrestler.
To me, the business was so new and so intriguing. And when I first got on the road, I was going up and down the road, drinking beers, staying in different hotels. It was all very intriguing and stimulating in the beginning, you know? So.
Yeah, it got me a couple divorces.
Lesnar earned millions, but nobody taught him how to handle all that wealth. He squandered his money.
It's living the life of a rock star. You know, I had 2 Hummers, Mercedes, Corvette.
Living large.
I was living, you know, airplanes, 4 or 5 houses.
It wasn't long before fame and fortune went to his head. Colleagues at the time tell the same story. Matt Hardy, for example, says in an interview that Lesnar was still grateful and modest in his early days.
I remember every time we do something for Brock, I remember he gave me the F5 on the stage one time, which hurt like shit. But I just remember after Brock was just so thankful. Afterwards, oh my God, thank you, man. That was so great. There's everything I can do to pay you back. I will. Thank you guys so much for helping me.
But Lesnar did not keep his promise. Once he reached the top, he changed. Matt Hardy wanted to show some offense in a match against Lesnar, but Brock wasn't having it.
At this point, he'd been the champion and he was the top guy, and he could have really helped elevate me there by going out and having a good match and hanging with him one-on-one. And he kept trying to cut my shit out. And he's going, oh, I don't know, man. It kind of makes me look weak. I don't think you should do that. You should do this. What about motherfucker? You said you would make sure if there's everything I can do for you that I'm going to help you. That was a big change in Brock.
Lesnar always had a hand for getting into conflicts with colleagues, but on a flight back from a European tour, it escalated.
It was full of booze and Vicodin and stuck on an airplane for 7 hours on an overseas trip. What else are you going to do besides maybe pass out and fall asleep or get into trouble? And we did both.
There was an open bar and only first-class seats on the flight. The aim was to make the journey as comfortable as possible, but it was too comfortable. Lesnar downed a few shots of whiskey and went to sleep. Then, Curt-Hennig made a big mistake. He decided to play a trick on Lesnar.
Brock was sitting in his chair, and Curt-Hennig put shaving cream on his head. He went splat and splatted on his head. Next thing I know, Brock is chasing Kurt like a full sprint, you know, like wham, wham. Brock went right behind him.
Yeah, we got into a scuffle on the plane. Yeah, I mean, it's called whiskey wrestling. Have you ever done it? You should try it sometime.
Lesnar and Hennig brawled all the way to the back of the plane, landing on sleeping colleagues and breaking armrests and storage compartments in the process.
Brock picks Kurt up, and then they hit the emergency door. This was a big boom. Everyone jumped up, and we're like, stop, stop.
The fight came to an end when other wrestlers, including Triple H, intervened.
I was drunk and high. I couldn't even tell you what happened. All I know is when we got off the plane, we got reprimanded, and that's it.
There were consequences for Hennig. A few days later, he was released. But Lesnar got off scot-free. Backstage, it was said that he was too valuable, an investment the WWE didn't want to lose. And it was precisely this status that rendered him untouchable in every controversy.
I remember that night I was doing interviews.
Trish and Jackie in a tag team match.
I was backstage, and I hear my name called. Dustin was in the room, my ex-husband at the time. And Brock did the whole thing. He exposed himself to me like a real dick. I no-sold it, went to my dressing room. Dustin came in, he's like, let it lie.
Such incidents were kept under lock and key. They were the opposite of rare. In fact, the wrestling industry at the time was notorious for problematic behavior behind the scenes. Assault and violations were covered up internally to avoid a public scandal. It was a culture of silence and of looking the other way. Backstage, alcohol and painkillers were ceaselessly abused. Veterans lived out their power fantasies, while rookies had nothing to say. Anyone who set boundaries or complained risked their job. Lesnar operated in a system that covered up misbehavior, as long as you earned enough money for the company. A system in which a top star was allowed to do almost anything. One afternoon before a show, Lesnar was sitting with some wrestlers, playing poker and goofing around. The Brooklyn Brawler asked Brock, "Would you win against Kurt Angle in a real fight?" After all, Angle was an Olympic gold medalist wrestler.
Brock said he's too small, I'd kill him. So I walked up to Brock, "By the way, you said you could whoop my butt. Let's get in the ring."
Thinking to myself, well, who's going to break this one up if it starts going sideways?
Kurt Angle's version said he beat Brock Lesnar. I haven't heard that version from other people. It was two guys who started out just kind of, goofing around and, tussling and, hey, oh, you got a takedown on me. Oh, you got a takedown on me. And the next thing you know, for 30 minutes, they just were taking each other down.
We actually got along even better afterward.
Over time, Lesnar and Angle became best friends. They worked together like a well-oiled machine, and they were used to each other's toughness from real combat sports.
You're not going to take that killer instinct out of him. So you know what? When you go out there and you wrestle him, you better be ready, and you better be prepared to possibly get injured. Although we're in entertainment. But that's what Brock Lesnar brings to the table. He's real.
When me and Kurt Angle got in the squared circle together, there was a lot of real things going on in there.
Brock and I are both stiff as hell. When you hear that somebody's light, that means you barely feel anything. If they throw a punch or a kick, it's not as brutal as a person who's stiff. Brock and I are the two stiffest guys in the business.
I'm gonna bring the pain. Kurt had neck problems way back, but I threw Kurt into the turnbuckle and came in, hit him very hard, and I broke his neck that night. Me and Kurt went at it, He hit me hard, and I hit him back harder.
Angle and Lesnar had legendary matches, including perhaps the best Iron Man match in WWE history and the main event of WrestleMania 19. Lesnar's shooting star press was supposed to be the big WrestleMania moment, but there was an accident.
The coolest moment was Brock's dumbest moment.
And Lesnar landed on the back of his head. That's 290 pounds coming down on your neck.
I thought I just watched somebody die.
Any normal person, I think it would have snapped in two, but I'm very lucky. Being in front of all those people, having the anxiety, all these things racing through my head, I second-guessed myself.
It was horrifying. We didn't know Brock had broken his neck.
Brock barely remembers that night. On pure instinct, he brought the match to an end and staggered behind the curtain, dazed. Backstage, the hell continued. Dozens of voices talked at him, some caring, some reproachful.
Now all these people surrounded me. People are grabbing me and doing this and doing that and wanted me down the stretcher and wanted me in the ambulance, and I wasn't having any of that. Everybody said that I was hard to handle. And I can imagine I was, probably.
Lesnar had no desire for doctors and medical treatment. He left the hospital the same night. WWE executives criticized him for it and wanted to protect him from himself. But Lesnar didn't let the doctors close to him. This behavior continued throughout his career and later almost ended fatally. Lesnar became a father in 2002 with his then-fiancée Nicole McLean, a model with a passion for hunting. They had twins, Luke and Maya Lynn Lesnar. But Lesnar was overwhelmed by this responsibility in combination with his job as a wrestler.
When you're young, it's fresh and it's cool, but is it really cool to be up all night, not getting any sleep, and then getting on an airplane, getting off an airplane, trying to find a place to eat, dealing with people at the rental car service, dealing with TSA, dealing with the hotel, or dealing with the loss of your luggage? What's cool about it?
The wrestling life was getting to him. To cope with it, he took refuge in drugs.
There's like 2 years that I don't remember in my life. Vodka and pain pills. That's why I don't remember it. You're gone 300 days a year, and you're miserable climbing the walls and in the locker room waiting to come through the curtain in a different town every night that is exactly the same as the night before.
All right, Brock, explain where you are and what you're doing.
Where am I today?
The constant media appointments and commercial shoots drove Lesnar crazy.
There are pressures that you don't see, that nobody knows about, sacrifices you have to make. That is a ton of pressure. And then you add in how much pain you're in because you're wrestling over 200 times a year and what that can do.
I felt entrapped. I felt like I was a trapped animal. I was built to be in the ring. I wasn't built to get from ring to ring. I just didn't like to travel. I'm just a simple man, and it was just too much for me at the time. I can remember times being on an airplane and wanting to punch the door open and jump out of the plane.
Lesnar hated nothing more than the long flights from show to show. So he bought a private jet and hired a pilot to ease the stress of traveling. Nevertheless, the job remained stressful. His schedule was packed to the brim.
It is hard work. You have to go and perform every single night. You're a hamster on a treadmill, and that's how I felt.
Colleagues noted that Lesnar always kept his distance. His relationship with Nicole McLean fell apart. According to her, Lesnar was a cheating, permanently exhausted, and quarrel-seeking wreck of an addict. His fiancée could no longer take it. She broke off contact. Around this time, Lesnar developed a problematic image. He was a loner, extremely irritable, and it was better not to mess with him. Lesnar's autobiography shines a light on his aggressive tendencies, the anger he carried around with him at strangers at the gas station who asked him for autographs, or at cab drivers who didn't do their job properly. Lesnar shared his dark thoughts and mentioned that he would love to knock them out.
He quickly grew to being miserable, and I knew Brock had to get out, because a miserable Brock Lesnar is not safe for himself, let alone anybody else.
Lesnar also had a lot of injuries and a bad headache after matches.
And to cope with all that was, my best friends, vodka and Vicodin. I was in a lot of pain, mentally and physically.
There's a lot of pain in wrestling. I know countless wrestlers that are all dead today from having addictions to painkillers.
I don't know, what's addiction, Did I take too damn many pills? Yeah. Did I drink too much? Yes. Did I become aware of that I was drinking and taking too many pills? Yes, I did.
There was one silver lining for Brock during this time. He fell in love with wrestler Sable. She was 10 years older, but he didn't care. He liked her mature, self-confident manner. They went out to enjoy the nightlife together, traveling between shows as a couple. Sable was previously married to the wrestler Mark Merrow, but she cheated on him with Lesnar. Merrow found out when he listened to Sable's voicemail.
The message was from a man saying, hey, I'm really sorry about last night. I was a little, aggressive or whatever. I said, when I find out who this guy is, I'm going to beat the tar out of him. And then I found out it was Brock Lesnar. This gives forgiveness a whole new meaning.
The story of how Sable and Lesnar got to know each other is not particularly romantic. Lesnar's autobiography mentions a fierce conflict between the two. He alludes to some bad mistake he made, a mistake so bad that she fled from him back to Florida. Lesnar kept trying to reach her, but Sable didn't answer the phone. After 2 weeks, he went to Florida in person and came to Sable's house, but she wasn't home, so he broke in. All of this sounds like he was stalking her. Sable was intimidated by Lesnar's behavior, but the two reconciled. A week later, Lesnar proposed to her at the airport in Orlando. She said yes. But a stable relationship while on tour was unthinkable for Brock. Too much turmoil, too many temptations. His plan was clear. He wanted to leave WWE together with Sable. Lesnar informed the higher-ups that he wanted to quit. At first, they tried to persuade him to stay.
You'd get a grumpy Brock some days, and you attribute that to he's young, it's the first time he's doing a lot of this, and you'll get used to it, kid. Come on, you'll get used to it. And for some people, that's just, they don't want to get used to it.
Lesnar couldn't take it anymore. He told close confidants about suicidal thoughts.
Brock Lesnar left, not because he wanted to go out in the world, because he got tired. Brock Lesnar left at the right time, because if he had stayed, there'd be no Brock Lesnar.
His boss Vince McMahon was beside himself. Brock Lesnar was his biggest investment, and now he wanted to just walk away. He was supposed to be the next top star, the next John Cena before there was a John Cena.
He was the first choice, and rightfully so. It was his table. He just decided not to sit at it.
If Brock Lesnar would have stayed in the WWE, you would not know the name John Cena today.
Lesnar signed a termination agreement that forbade him to wrestle again before 2010. He let a dream contract fall through. 7 years, $45 million, around $6.4 million a year, the kind of money that most people would do anything for. He had his last match at WrestleMania 20 against Goldberg, a catastrophe.
Neither one of us wanted to be there.
Why didn't you want to be there? Because it's WrestleMania 20.
Because I didn't give it.
It was the first time that headlines from the internet influenced the action in the ring. The fans knew Brock was leaving, and they made no secret of their disappointment. Whistles, boos, one-finger salutes.
And to have him go out there and sense the disappointment that the audience was experiencing had to be devastating for them. To have the audience disconnect that obviously from what you're doing is, you almost feel like you're standing out there naked. It's a horrible feeling.
The atmosphere behind the scenes was also lead-heavy. Many colleagues were extremely disappointed. Lesnar had gotten the push that others had dreamed of for years. Everyone had helped to push him, to make him look strong, and now he was throwing it all away. This social pressure was another reason for him to leave. He hated the constant social interaction in the backstage area. People in charge expected him to be approachable as a top guy, a locker room leader, a role model for the others. But Lesnar hated small talk. He has an introverted personality, which many people confuse with insecurity or apathy. But that's a misunderstanding. Introverts need distance to recharge their social batteries. They can't be around people all the time because it saps their energy. And that's exactly how it was with Lesnar. His energy levels had been in the red for a long time, and he couldn't recharge. He wasn't a leader. He was a loner.
I think he's fine to keep his walls up and keep everybody away. I think there's a part of him that likes to be intimidating to people. And that may be because he just doesn't want people getting close to him.
I just don't like being around a bunch of people. That's just who I am. That's why I live out in the middle of nowhere. That's why I got a 8-foot fence around my property. That's why I shut the gate when I come and go. That's just who I am.
Lesnar wants to be left alone, and that's how he lives. Like his parents, he has a ranch, with no neighbors and no small talk. His property is fenced off.
The spotlight takes a lot out of me, and so I need to go back and get grounded and crawl back into my cave. I tried the whole suburb thing when I first moved. It just didn't feel like home. I grew up on the farm, so I went out and found this acreage. I got 43 acres. I like to wake up in the morning and feel like I'm in the country.
I just don't put myself out there to the fans and prostitute my private life to everybody.
Lesnar only ever let a camera crew onto his property once. This is the rare footage.
Thank you so much. Your driveway is like long.
It's long. Sometimes we forget the mail when we come home in the car or something, and we just go down and pick the mail up in the four-wheeler.
Sable has been married to Lesnar since 2006. It was an adjustment for her to move to the country.
Raina, she's from Florida, and the first time I ever brought her to my house, she fell in love with it. She thought this was just the greatest thing.
In an interview, Lesnar was asked, "What's the most romantic thing you've ever done for your wife?" He told the interviewer about a prank. He pretended that their 1-year-old son had swallowed Sable's wedding ring and supported the story with X-ray images from the internet.
And my poor wife took it upon herself to search for the wedding ring in dirty diapers.
I thought that was funny.
However, Lesnar made it all up to her by giving her a new, very expensive wedding ring.
We're sharing a cell phone. I'm not exactly without a cell phone.
We've decided that we no longer need to have the internet. It's a huge waste of time for us. We spent way too much time on it doing unnecessary things, and what we've actually done with our life now is try to simplify it a little bit. Makes it a lot easier.
We thought about getting rid of the TV, but I gotta watch my hunting show.
Oh my God.
I'm into hunting and fishing and spending time with the fam and just being low key. Snowmobiling, ice fishing.
Oh yeah.
Bow hunting.
We just put 2 arrows in that deer, and he's dead. We stuck up on that sucker.
I grill my own steak, and I love to grill. I spend a lot of time on my deck, on my patios. I've got lots of land. I don't like seeing my neighbors. I like to see my land and grill a steak and have a cold beer or a cold rye and Coke whiskey and grill me a ribeye, medium well.
Lesnar prefers to spend his time outdoors, on the ranch, between fields, forests, and lakes. Nature is his retreat, his true home. It's where he finds the peace and quiet that he never had in the flashy world of wrestling. Lesnar does everything himself. He is familiar with working with his hands. He repairs machines and household appliances, mows the lawn, and does his own winter service.
Before my workout, it started snowing today, and I get in my tractor and plow the driveway out a little bit.
You can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy. I built my own gym.
I designed it and made it how I wanted it. I built this building. I wanted a gym. I wanted to be able to wrestle.
I've got a full-size wrestling mat in there. I've got heavy bags. Just the meat and potatoes.
I love my gym.
A fitness center on his ranch in the middle of nowhere with no opening hours to observe because there are no other people. When he first received the equipment, some of it was too narrow for his broad frame, or the weight capacity wasn't high enough. So he ordered bigger, more stable, custom-built machines tailored to his measurements. Hours of training all by himself. This is Lesnar's outlet. It's how he gets his aggression under control. Brock had extreme anger problems when he was young. His strength was a powder keg that could explode at any time. After leaving the WWE, he was looking for a new challenge and ended up in American football in 2004. He wanted to prove his physical dominance once more, but it didn't take long before his temper became an issue again. During a joint training session between the Minnesota Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs, an opponent attacked his teammate in an unprofessional manner. Lesnar asked who it was. Then, in the next quarter, he grabbed the man and gave him a suplex in the middle of the play, right there on the football field. Despite such outbursts, he impressed the coaches. But the next setback came in April 2004. A serious motorcycle accident. Broken jaw, broken hand, groin strain, tissue damage in his abdomen. Even his testicles were swollen for weeks. Despite everything, several NFL teams showed interest. But during the preseason games as a defensive tackle, Lesnar realized that he wasn't really a football player at all. He used less strategy and more brute force. He also repeatedly got into fights.
It was a way for me to get out of doing something I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So, let's start a fight.
They offered him the chance to continue with NFL Europe, but Lesnar turned them down. He had no desire to go to Europe. Lesnar once again slipped into a phase of disorientation. He hardly visited his children and was still overwhelmed by the responsibility. He sought refuge in drugs and especially in alcohol. On one of the many liquor-soaked nights in Phoenix, Arizona, he stumbled into a tattoo studio and made a decision that he later regretted. He spontaneously decided on a huge motif, a sword. From the navel to the throat, almost into his throat.
I asked him, I was like, what was that tattoo for? And he's like, it felt like I always had a knife at my throat.
Lesnar writes in his autobiography, I felt like life was holding a sword right up against my throat. So I went under the ink gun because I never wanted to forget exactly how I felt at that time. The sword tattoo says a lot about Lesnar, a way to get rid of the pain by externalizing the anger, disappointment, and the restlessness that burned on his chest. Lesnar has other dark tattoos. The head of a demon with bare teeth, underneath the phrase, "Kill 'em all." Lesnar wanted to get back into wrestling, but not WWE. Various promotions in Japan made him lucrative offers. Lesnar wanted to accept, but couldn't, because of the non-compete clause he had signed the year prior. A wrestling ban until 2010. Regardless, Lesnar decided to do his own thing, even though it was illegal. In 2005, he won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in New Japan, in his very first match. The WWE immediately responded with a lawsuit. Lesnar hit them back with a countersuit. A legal tug-of-war that dragged on for months. Then both sides gave in and dropped their lawsuits. They talked. WWE wanted Lesnar back. A new contract was ready. But Lesnar refused and walked all over Vince McMahon again. Brock defended his IWGP title against top names like Shinsuke Nakamura and Akira Ono, but anger grew behind the scenes. Lesnar was seen as unapproachable, difficult, and dismissive. He had no interest in Japanese culture, made no effort to integrate, and was arrogant. Many Japanese wrestlers found his behavior disrespectful. They also did not understand him because of the language barrier. In July 2006, New Japan Pro Wrestling stripped him of his title, allegedly because of visa problems. In reality, however, there was a dispute over money and dates. Lesnar was unhappy with his pay and working conditions. He felt he was being treated unfairly and refused to give the title belt back, so he simply kept it and carried it around with him for close to a year. It wasn't until 2007 that he lost it to Kurt Angle, and once again, Lesnar was left with nothing. His reputation in Japan was ruined, the bridge to WWE burned, football wasn't his thing, and all the money was gone. His huge house, the large property, cost him a fortune in maintenance. He didn't want to sell it. For the first time in years, Lesnar felt financial pressure, but he was familiar with frugal living from his childhood.
I went from, making a lot of money and having a lot of things, but it's not all about having a nicest vehicle, People are surprised because they've seen what I used to drive, and now I drive the Red Rocket, my little car.
Hop in the luxury sedan.
It ain't all about looking good, I don't care.
He bought nothing he didn't need. Lesnar was looking for a new source of income. He asked himself what he could do better than anyone else and ended up fighting again. He had his first MMA fight in Los Angeles against an experienced judoka. But Lesnar made short work of him. He took his opponent to the ground and hammered down with heavy punches. It was all over after just 1.5 minutes. Lesnar wanted to be on the biggest stage in MMA, so he bought a ticket for UFC.
I jumped the security railing, ran to the octagon, grabbed Dana by the shoulder, spun him around, introduced myself. He pulled me back and we had a meeting. I said, "You sign me, you won't go wrong. If I can't sell pay-per-view buys for you, don't have me back."
Ex-wrestler Lesnar, in a real fight at UFC, a huge headline. Critics predicted Lesnar would fail.
People, ram down your throat and say you can't do something.
Yeah.
Love those people.
After signing the deal, the toughest training phase of his life began. No excuses until his hands bled, as if his life depended on it.
I sweat profusely. I mean, when I start working out, I'll drop anywhere between 8 to 12 pounds.
I put time, blood, sweat, tears into my workouts. Now, the lion's hungry. Feed me.
Lesnar's first opponent was Frank Mir, one of the best in the world and known for his dangerous submission holds. Lesnar got off to a dominant and impressive start, but a brief moment of carelessness cost him the fight, as Frank Mir put him in a knee bar.
I just saw my entire life just fall off the cliff. because I thought, well, Dana's not going to re-sign me. I lost. Dana came back and he was just bouncing off the walls. He's like, dude, that was awesome.
Ooh, that was a fun fight, dude. That was so fun, dude.
It ain't over. I hope it ain't.
Despite the loss, Lesnar had made a splash. He was so dominant, so explosive, that even Frank Mir's victory became secondary. Dana White had seen all he needed to see. A fighter who draws money, an athlete who looks like a monster and moves like one. Lesnar had lost, but stolen the show. And so Lesnar got a second fight against Heath Herring, a tough veteran. Herring made a big mistake. He provoked Lesnar.
As a competitor your whole life, you don't want to fight off of aggression. It's a competition.
That's interesting.
You want to go out and cool, calm, and collective, calm before the storm. Everything was fine until he said, I'm going to show this MFer that this ain't WWE, that this is for real. That lit a fire under my ass.
Lesnar was fuming and hit Herring with a huge punch to the face right at the start of the first round. What followed was pure dominance. Lesnar chased him across the floor, controlling him, crushing him for 3 rounds. Raw aggression and brute force. This victory cemented Lesnar firmly on the map.
My number one goal is to be the best heavyweight in the UFC.
Hopefully I get to utilize these a little bit.
At UFC 91, he got his big chance, a top title match against Randy Couture. Lesnar was the underdog. Many believed Couture would technically dismantle him, but Brock brought his brute force. In the second round, he landed a straight right, and Couture collapsed.
UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Brock Lesnar!
No one had ever won this title faster than Lesnar. He had discovered his new, old, familiar passion.
Brock liked that style because that lifestyle was training at home 6 months and then going to an event one time to fight. That's Brock's cup of tea. That way Brock can stay at home, train, spend time with his family, do his hunting and fishing. He doesn't have to deal with the real world.
He thrives on this. It makes him happy. And not only is this exactly what he wants to be doing, I think it's going to be a long-lasting career for him.
Lesnar's next fight was intense, a rematch against Frank Mir. It was clear from the moment he walked in, Lesnar wasn't here to fight. He was here to settle accounts. He unleashed his anger over Mir's provocations from previous weeks.
And it is all over! He's out.
He ran around the ring, flicking off the crowd. In the post-fight interview, he challenged the UFC sponsorship of Bud Light by saying he'd like a Coors Light. Dana White was very upset, and he had every right to be.
Nevertheless, UFC 100 was a complete success. It was the best-selling UFC event to date, thanks to Lesnar. He was the biggest pay-per-view draw. Lesnar reached the pinnacle of his combat sports career with his victory over Frank Mir as he fell ill in the late summer of 2009. At first, no one knew it would be life-threatening. Lesnar simply felt weaker and weaker, had stomach pains, diarrhea, and lost weight. He didn't go to the doctor because he didn't feel like it.
Stubborn me, I didn't get a scan of my stomach, and I decided to drive up to Canada and sit in my deer stand.
Despite his illness, Lesnar took on 𝗖𝗛𝗣𝗏𝗏, a knockout champion with 12 first-round wins. Kārwin came in like an avalanche. In the first round, he landed multiple big punches on Lesnar with brutal precision. Lesnar staggered, went down, took dozens of punches, but he survived. He stayed calm and kept his guard up. In the second round, the tide had turned. He immediately went for a takedown, worked his way into position, and then applied the arm triangle choke. Lesnar won again, but his illness got worse. At his brother's house, he suddenly collapsed. The hospital was over 100 miles away, and Lesnar's body was failing fast. So a helicopter flew him to the hospital. He was diagnosed with diverticulitis, a dangerous inflammation of the large intestine. His body was broken, his bowels on the verge of rupture.
Diverticulitis almost killed Brock Lesnar.
My doctor came into my room when I got to the States and said, listen, I'm gonna try to save your fight career, but if I can't and I gotta save your life, I'm saving your life before I'm saving your career, son.
Lesnar narrowly survived. Doctors speculate that Lesnar's lifestyle was the cause of the disease. Mountains of meat, few vegetables, and an extreme amount of alcohol. He had to completely change his diet to include bland and high-fiber food. Brock hated it. He once said he didn't want to eat like a rabbit. A year later, Lesnar fought Cain Velasquez, but he wasn't the same. His explosiveness and power were gone. Lesnar lost his title that night, and that did something to him.
Most of my life, I went through life living that I'm indestructible. And when you get defeated, it humbled me.
As Lesnar left the arena, a curious scene unfolded.
The Undertaker just called me a couple days ago and apologized for that whole thing, yeah. Him and Brock have some beef, and Brock walked by him and he said something to him, and it blew up into that whole thing that happened.
You want to do it?
You are saying it is a legit beef,
It
right?
is. I'm not. I don't. It is a legit. I got a problem with him.
The Undertaker later said in interviews that he wanted to drag Lesnar back into the world of wrestling. He had been sent to provoke a conflict. But Lesnar had more important things to worry about. During this time, his family grew by the addition of 2 sons. Turk Lesnar was born in 2009, Luke Lesnar in 2010. And he also suffered another flare-up of his inflammation. Doctors removed around 12 inches of his colon. In an interview, Lesnar said the disease felt like a shotgun blast to the stomach, with someone pouring salt into it and stirring it all up with a pitchfork. Nevertheless, Lesnar tried again with another fight. But Alistair Overeem defeated him. The illness ended Lesnar's UFC career. Lesnar returned to WWE. Vince McMahon and he had come to an agreement.
For me, this is strictly business. We need a guy to legitimize this company, and Brock Lesnar's that guy. We're tired of John Cena's bullcrap.
Lesnar had clear demands for his comeback. He did not want to go on tour. He wanted to wrestle only rarely, but when he did, it was for huge sums of money. He had earned this status. Lesnar was back as the Beast. He held up referee Charles Robinson like a shopping bag. He was portrayed as a bone-crushing thug, a sadist who shatters the arms of his opponents with the Kimura lock.
Beating people up, that makes me happy.
When you're in the ring with someone like that, we look for weaknesses, and he just doesn't have any. He is stronger and faster. He defies pretty much all logic. Lesnar's a mutant. He's not human.
Bad things happen to good people when you step into the ring with Brock Lesnar.
At SummerSlam 2013, Lesnar faced CM Punk in one of the best matches of his career.
His wrestling IQ and acuity was so much better when he came back.
Lesnar wasn't just great in the ring, he was the most credible wrestler on the roster. And so he got another huge push with a match that changed the wrestling world. The Undertaker's streak of WrestleMania victories was on the line.
21 men have stepped up, and 21 men have been set down. The Undertaker's the measuring stick for the ass kickers. Brock wants to think he's that. To prove it, he had to go through the Undertaker.
After a certain number, it was almost like he was never going to lose.
That match at WrestleMania between Lesnar and Taker, that's funny. It's like the day the music died.
On WrestleMania weekend, there was chaos behind the scenes. Boss Vince McMahon made an impromptu decision. Lesnar was going to break the streak. Not even the inner circle knew about it.
Mark looks at me and he goes, "Michael, they changed the finish." And I was just stunned.
The Undertaker discussed it with Vince. Lesnar was not the right man. He didn't need this big victory. But then Vince asked, if not Lesnar, then who?
There was no one on the roster, potentially. And the following year, a year after that, it was timing.
That's kind of what it came down to. It is what it is.
I don't think Brock needed it.
I get a lot of criticism for it, maybe, but quite honestly, people who in the wrestling industry has enough credentials to actually break the streak. With enough believability, is there somebody else out there? No, I don't think so.
Whoever would beat that streak would become a massive heel. What Vince didn't see was that he would become the heel.
The match was tough, brutal and slow, as The Undertaker suffered a severe concussion relatively early on.
I got hurt so bad. I don't even remember that match. Till today, I don't remember it.
After 3 F5s, the pin went through. Silence. The crowd was stunned.
I watched the streak being broken. It was really a holy moment. I couldn't believe it.
I just remember sitting there literally with my face hanging open like, what just happened?
I was shocked. When it happened, it was just so abrupt and meaningful.
Brock has done everything that he set his mind on doing, but I don't think anything was as big as breaking Undertaker's streak.
Behind the curtain, The Undertaker was feeling the effects of the concussion and collapsed.
He had the happy days look on his face that he had no idea where he was at.
I mean, I was gone, man.
Most guys aren't Brock Lesnar and aren't able to throw me around like that.
To end their rivalry, Lesnar and Taker had 2 highly acclaimed matches in 2015. The finale brought them back into the cage at Hell in a Cell.
You can sell your soul to the devil, but your ass belongs to Brock Lesnar.
Time and time again, The Undertaker was left injured after matches with Lesnar. Brock's power can be too much for the human body to handle. John Cena also felt this at SummerSlam 2014 in the match for the WWE Championship.
I'm gonna rip John Cena apart. I'm gonna leave him in a pile of blood and urine and vomit.
It was another shocking evening. Lesnar dismantled Cena in complete dominance.
I remember Brock being like, hey, I had dinner with Steve Austin last night and we came up with this idea where I just start suplexing you and don't stop and then beat you. To beat the streak. We ruin that if we have a 50-50 match.
While Lesnar was being pushed back to the top of the wrestling world, there were also some changes in his personal life. He emigrated to Canada with Sable and his 2 young sons.
I bought land in Saskatchewan because I hunted there and then came across this farm for sale and then I just kept buying land, and then you can't own land in Canada unless you're a resident. Well, okay, I'll move there and live there and get a residency, and then more land's coming for sale and buying land and farming. I got great employees. I have a full-time functioning farm. We farm small grains, 5,000 acres.
Lesnar had more than enough time for his private life. He spent most of the year at home, on his ranch with his family, a luxury that no one else on the roster got to taste. They all envied him.
Brock was very fortunate in that he was able to sign a very limited contract. So where the rest of us are on the road for probably 300 days a year and we're lucky to get home once a week, Brock had an incredibly limited contract that said he has to wrestle something like 10 or 12 times a year.
I've separated myself from this life, with my family and kids, and so it's like when I leave the house, I put on a whole nother face and aura, and I get home and I just check out.
Many fellow wrestlers were unhappy. They didn't see Lesnar as a team player, but as someone who was given special privileges because he was the biggest star. All wrestlers had to get to the arena 6 hours before the start of the show. That didn't apply to Brock Lesnar.
I guess I look at this, I clock in and I clock out. What's wrong with that, all right?
And when he got there, he had a luxury bus parked in the car park where he could go sit, and, maybe 30 minutes or so before his segment, you'd see him come out of there and he'd go to the ring, do his thing, walk to the back, shake hands with Vince, go back to his bus, and you wouldn't see him again for a few weeks until his next appearance.
No, I don't play well with others. I guess I carry myself in an ambiance or a manner that people may find cocky or arrogant, but I don't do it on purpose, I guess. If you're gonna thrive in this business, you gotta be selfish.
Lesnar didn't care that his special position made him unpopular with his colleagues. He only went to the gym with them once, which was a disaster.
Brock walks into the changing room. Man, this kid keeps following me around. Every machine I go on, he sits next to me. And all of a sudden, this 16-year-old looking nerdy, shy, skinny kid pops his head round the locker room. And then all we hear is, "Are you trying to see my penis?" Followed by this 16-year-old kid, no, scampering out of the locker room, and we never see him again.
Party's over, Grandpa.
Brock has a weird mystique about him, and the fact that he shows up and goes away protects that mystique.
I have a total crash after being in front of audiences. Like, I go hibernate in Saskatchewan. The anxiety from all that is takes me like a few days to recover.
How do you feel Brock's longer? I mean, Brock's never here. So at this point, I've gotten used to it, It's like all the other crazy stuff that goes on in this world that's completely wrong in every possible way, but it happens so much that we're just used to it, and we just accept it, and we act like it's normal, and it's not okay.
Seth Rollins was one of the main critics of Lesnar's part-time schedule, and Lesnar in turn was not a fan of Rollins. Then the two had to work a match together.
It was terrible. It was rotten. I had my first run-in with Brock Lesnar.
Now it's all about creating pain by Lesnar.
It's just like a little taste of what I know is to come.
Yeah, look at this, though.
Oh, my God.
That physicality.
Good God, man. Using the taped ribs to his advantage.
It's invigorating, but man, I've been running so hard. The dude wrestles 6 matches a year, and I wrestle 600. I don't know. It's gonna hurt, dude.
Rollins tried to smooth things over. To appease Lesnar, he brought a pack of Coors Light, Lesnar's favorite beer, to his locker room. A peace offering that Lesnar laughed at. Lesnar didn't like working long matches. Rollins wove great story arcs into their matches and had an eye for the artistic element. Lesnar rejected all the suggestions. He wasn't interested in 5-star ratings. He was interested in getting the show over with.
That's the difference for me. Like, I look at this purely as a business.
A disdain for Brock Lesnar. Is there any respect?
There's respect, but it's purely a professional level.
One night, Lesnar did find some entertainment in his feud against Rollins. He was allowed to destroy a luxury car live on TV. However, Brock spontaneously came up with the idea of ripping the door off its hinges. He flung it away, so far that it hit a fan in the audience. WWE later confirmed that they provided medical treatment to the fan. He received compensation, free merchandise, and was allowed to meet some wrestlers backstage. Lesnar's ruthless, brute force was felt by everyone who had to work with him.
If you're in a match with Brock Lesnar, it's going to be physical.
Brock has just a completely different aura to him. With Brock, you're about to be in a really physical match.
Suplex seated, bitch.
And you're in the ring with Brock. If there's any softness about you, it's going to be exposed real quick.
Braun Strowman also got a taste of Lesnar's killer instinct in the ring. Lesnar was being a professional, going through the match according to plan, until Strowman laid into a punch a little too much. Within a split second, Lesnar reached his boiling point. He briefly changed sports. He went into MMA mode and threw real punches to Strowman's head.
I stiffed him on accident with a knee, and he wasn't happy with it, so he clobbered me on the side of the head. It didn't feel good. I mean, you can see the slow motion. My skull moves, and then the skin catches up.
Many wrestlers thought he had crossed the line. It's normal for wrestlers to respond to overly hard blows from their opponents with a receipt of equal proportions, but blows to the unprotected head should not be taken lightly. There was an outcry at SummerSlam 2016 because of this. Lesnar faced Randy Orton in the main event, a high-caliber match between two top stars. Neither was okay with a clear finish, neither wanted to lose, so they opted for a controversial end to the match. Lesnar unloaded on Orton with stiff elbow strikes to the head and won by technical knockout.
Probably I could say my whole career, man, one match, I really didn't know what the was going to happen. Randy didn't know what was coming, I don't believe either. Really? I didn't know. I believe it was just some heat that was more, and came about. And I was standing over in the corner holding Brock back or something. The bell just rang. And I'm like, who rang the bell? Right. The truck rang the bell. Really? And I was just like, what the is going on?
Orton was bleeding profusely. Fans and wrestlers behind the scenes were stunned. For example, wrestling legend Chris Jericho.
He was butchering him with elbows to the head, and I didn't know if it was planned or not. Elbows to the side of the head can kill you. Your temple, if you get hit hard enough in the temple, you die. I was just like, if this is real, it's bullshit. If it's been called, it's still bullshit. He's taking liberties, and it pissed me off.
Jericho was furious. When Lesnar came backstage, Jericho shouted at him.
Literally nose to nose with the guy, and he's laughing, and he's like, he was actually saying things that would probably get him canceled, like homophobic terms that you shouldn't be saying. Triple H tried to break it up, and we both told him to fuck off, which was hilarious. and then Vince got involved, and that's kind of, he got involved and basically told me that he had told Brock to do that.
Jericho's concern was justified because Orton suffered a concussion and was out for 2 months. Lesnar's ring style brought believability, but also concern and criticism of his brutality and his way of planning or not planning matches. Various wrestlers have said in interviews that Lesnar doesn't get involved in preparing big matches. He prefers to go out and improvise.
When it's time to go, he just does what he wants to do. I can remember talking to Brock and being like, dude, I'll just hit you with a knee and a this and that. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool. All the while, he's just going to do whatever he wants.
Brock is such a guessing game. And on top of that, he is built of concrete and steel.
Is he hard to work with?
Yeah, he picks you up and throws you on your head. There's nothing nice about that. Some call him like the alpha male of our species. It's true.
It was just something about him and his aura that just made him different and unpredictable. We're just gonna go out there and be violent.
Another example of this was Lesnar's match at WrestleMania 32 against Dean Ambrose.
I had no idea what was gonna happen. Went out there with not much of a plan, so to speak. It's an invigorating feeling walking in the ring knowing that you're going out there with a man who can kill you with his bare hands in front of 100,000 people and you have no idea what's gonna happen.
The match was disappointing. The two didn't get along well, and Lesnar didn't respect Ambrose.
Artistically, Brock didn't want to do anything. I put so much effort in, so much work in, and other people did too, and I was met with laziness.
In fact, Lesnar seemed lazy at times in his matches. He wanted to get his matches over with quickly. More and more often he insisted on being the opener, the first match on the card. Not because he wanted to kick the show off with a bang, but because he hated waiting hours upon hours on his luxury tour bus, isolated, nervous, and tense. He wanted to fight and disappear. He is said to have asked Vince McMahon and Triple H on multiple occasions to move his matches forward. He later said that he felt like he had taken over the company, that he had achieved everything there was to achieve. He thought back longingly to his time in UFC.
I don't know if I'd be a pro wrestler if I hadn't gotten sick.
Right.
I may not be here. I'd still be banging heads.
That chapter of my life, I didn't like the way the chapter ended, so I couldn't continue the book and move forward. I picked up the phone, I called Dana White and said, listen, if there was any time for Brock Lesnar to come back, it would just make sense that it would be for UFC 200.
The deal came with the then record salary of $2.5 million. WWE granted Lesnar another UFC fight as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It cost Vince a lot of goodwill, but anything for his top draw.
I think he knows that a happy Brock Lesnar is easier to work with than a Brock Lesnar that's not.
Lesnar's opponent was Mark Hunt, a knockout specialist. In the days leading up to the fight, Lesnar became tense. He seemed less arrogant this time, more focused than before. Lesnar had repeatedly visualized how he would tear Mark Hunt to the ground, the referee raising his hand. And that's exactly what happened. When the fight was over, Lesnar was proud of his victory.
I step in the octagon tonight with the guy ranked number 8 in the world. I'm pretty proud of myself. You can write what you want to write, but I think I'm the toughest son of a bitch, and I'm a top 10, puts me right in the game.
But just a few weeks later, things came crashing down on him. UFC denied the victory because of a positive doping test. Lesnar had given a sample during fight week, and it contained clomiphene, a substance that increases testosterone used almost exclusively after steroid cycles. Lesnar's physique and weight fluctuations suggest that he repeatedly used steroids. When asked about this, Lesnar gets visibly uncomfortable.
You're just so big, and if you come out of the world of pro wrestling.
We're done. Thanks, guys. I have never failed a drug test.
Former colleagues like Jim Cornette tell stories of roid rage, unpredictable outbursts of anger caused by Lesnar's supposed steroid abuse. During Lesnar's time in OVW, the police arrested him and charged him with illegal steroid possession. However, lab tests revealed that although the substances promoted muscle growth, they were not illegal. This pattern appears again and again with Lesnar. Substances on the edge of legality. He walks the tightrope between permitted and prohibited and never really gets caught. But the truth is also that Lesnar trains harder and more often than almost anyone else. And despite the doping scandal, the UFC wanted Brock Lesnar back.
Oh, there was a lot of tension going into WrestleMania 34. Brock with UFC calling, beckoning for his return.
It comes down to that in the locker room as well. Like, is Brock gonna win the title and then just disappear for 6 months? Is he gonna be a part-time guy that wants to go to UFC fights?
Lesnar defeated Roman Reigns that night. He celebrated his victory, but was raging inside. Once backstage, he threw the title he had just defended at his boss. Lesnar's anger had several reasons. He thought the crowd was acting disrespectful, throwing around beach balls in the stadium, not paying attention to the match. Lesnar had flashbacks to WrestleMania 20 and accused Vince of poor writing and bad storylines. And Lesnar was already upset because Vince wouldn't let him go back to UFC. His WWE contract didn't allow it, and this time, Vince made a stand. Meanwhile, another man was making a name for himself in the UFC, Conor McGregor. He was now the biggest pay-per-view draw. He broke Lesnar's records. Fans wondered how Brock felt about that, and what a fight between them would look like.
He's not friendly and he doesn't like people, Sam, so make your questions good.
Would you like to face Conor McGregor in a WWE ring?
I take shits bigger than that kid, all right? I know you guys all play video games and you're living this false sense of reality. I'm 290 pounds.
Lesnar repeatedly made his rivals, colleagues, and superiors his enemies. But one man has always been his biggest advocate, on screen and in real life: Paul Heyman.
Paul, when I started in this company, pulled me aside and took me under his wing, seen greatness in me, and helped me get to where I am today.
Afraid of Brock Lesnar, 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 afraid of Brock Lesnar.
Like, without Paul Heyman, this business wouldn't be what it is, especially in the last year. Paul, behind the scenes, wears a lot of hats. He's greatly respected and greatly appreciated.
For most of his career, Heyman was like Brock's shadow, never leaving his side. The two then quietly parted ways during the COVID-19 pandemic. Heyman joined Roman Reigns, and Lesnar disappeared.
I had my very first wrestling match in Hamill, Minnesota, in an empty garage. There I was 20 years later, fighting Drew McIntyre in front of no people. And I was like, you know what? It came full circle. And I was truly done.
Lesnar was done with wrestling. He thought it was a fitting end to his career. He stayed at home and focused on his family. The pandemic was exactly to his liking. Social distancing is his #1 talent.
My life is really simple. I'm not a bells and whistle guy. It's pretty simple. My family comes first. I don't consider myself a celebrity. I consider myself just a guy that has a family.
He has a good relationship with some of his children. Lesnar loves them all deeply, but largely missed out on the childhood of his twins, Luke and Maya. There are fake pictures and social media profiles of the now 23-year-old Luke Lesnar. In reality, he looks like this. He played hockey for some time, then withdrew completely from the public eye. His sister Maya is completely different. She enjoys the attention generated by her family name and uses it as an influencer on Instagram. Her pictures and videos go viral online. Commenters remark how similar she is to her father. Maya confidently gives insights into her everyday life as a shot putter, where she is one of the best. In recent years, she has won many competitions, and she is the record holder at Colorado State University. With a throwing distance of over 18 meters, she has long since established herself nationally. Even in high school, she was among the top 5 in the country, and her name appeared in US sports magazines as one of the strongest young women in America. Her boyfriend is a professional football player. She also networks with women in WWE and has contact with Charlotte and Natalya. Maya doesn't rule out a career as a wrestler at some point. Brock is very proud of his daughter and supports her in whatever way he can. He always attends his children's sports competitions and cheers them on. Also with his 2 younger sons, Duke and Turk. Lesnar spent a lot more time with them. He watched them grow up and wanted to introduce them to wrestling, but they chose hockey. They inherited their father's ambition. At 15, Duke is one of Canada's most promising young talents. Lesnar taught all his children the importance of hard work.
It's good old country living, like how I grew up. And that's how I wanted to raise my kids, out in the country. I want my kids to know what an honest day work is, from sun up to sundown. I got 2 boys, and I want them little bastards to know how to work. So get out there and start picking some stones. My school of hard knocks growing up, I wouldn't change a thing, and because it made me who I am today, and my kids are not going to have a silver spoon, and I think they're just better kids that way.
When Brock Lesnar is at home, he is a different person. Peaceful, relaxed, a family man who likes chopping wood and fishing. But even in his private life, there are always moments when his angry side comes out. At a town festival, for example, Lesnar ordered a few drinks. When a stranger snatched them from under his nose, Lesnar couldn't let that slide.
I just grabbed them from him, turned around, and walked away. In the meantime, the bartender had handed him his drinks and proceeded to bust me over the head with them. And then things ended very quickly.
Killer instinct took over as Lesnar jumped up, grabbed the man, and knocked him down. One punch and the man was unconscious. Passers-by called the police. When Lesnar heard the sirens approaching, he disappeared.
I grew my beard out, grew my hair out, and then my birthday came around, and then the phone rang, and it was Vince, and what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just chilling. We didn't even have a game plan, and I was like, I don't want to cut my beard or cut my hair.
Again, Vince McMahon brought Lesnar back into the ring. The focus was different now. He was no longer supposed to be the beast that buries everyone else. He was supposed to be the beast that is slain by up-and-coming talent. For a long time, Lesnar refused to do that because he found the lack of work ethic he observed in the younger generation problematic.
Kids nowadays expect things are just handed over. This generation, people are always, they don't want to work for something. I think if you sit back and you're not going to work for something in your life, you're going to have absolutely nothing. That's what you're going to get. The young generation think if they go out and do a certain move, that's not the business. To figure out how to put asses in seats, not worry about your next high spot.
Lesnar had respect for only a few young stars. Roman Reigns, for example.
When this all first started with Roman, he was a young man. You just know when somebody has it, and I think he's a special talent.
The Reigns versus Lesnar rivalry went on for a long time. Toward the end, WWE used real-life tension in the storyline. Lesnar wanted Paul Heyman back by his side, but Vince kept him in Reigns' corner.
It is a real storyline because there is some jealousy there for me. You know, Paul Heyman, I was a Paul Heyman guy for, 18 years. It is somewhat real.
Lesnar was willing to lose to Reigns to push him. Another opponent was Bobby Lashley.
Bobby who? Exactly.
The match took place at the 2022 Royal Rumble. The night before, Lesnar made headlines again. He met the Jackass crew in a bar. Wee-Man provoked Lesnar, even though he is only half the size of his upper body.
Like, that was not staged at all. I'm walking out, and then Wee-Man stands up, peacocks me a little bit.
Lesnar grabbed the small man and threw him across a table. The bar exploded in cheers, and the video went viral. However, the restaurant owners were not too happy, so Lesnar quickly made his escape.
I'm like, I'm out. Because I wasn't sure if they were going to call the cops or what. Smart. I just threw cash out. I'm like, I'll take care of the table. Stage left. Peace.
The following day, Lesnar lost to Bobby Lashley. However, he would go on to win the Royal Rumble match that same night. Matt Riddle was also in the Rumble and later talked about the match preparation.
He came in and was like, I just did business for Bobby Lashley. You guys are all going to do business for me. And then Shane McMahon mentioned and asked if he could pick him up for a spot. And Brock just looked at him like, no.
Lesnar won the Rumble, won the WWE title at Elimination Chamber, only to lose to Roman Reigns again at WrestleMania. But Vince McMahon and Triple H already had the next project in mind, Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. To kick off the collaboration, Brock gave Cody a one-of-a-kind gift.
He sent me an entire cow. He took a picture of himself with the cow, because he does it all. He's a real farmer.
Cody and Lesnar enjoyed working together. They hit it off right away and knew where they wanted to go in storylines and matches.
His professionalism is so underrated.
Oh, wow.
He is one of, if not the most professional and understanding of what we wanted.
Lesnar understands the business. That means he knows what really matters. On the night of SummerSlam 2023, it was all about presenting Cody as the new big star. To everyone's surprise, Lesnar even raised Cody's hand and celebrated with him. It was a sign of respect.
That was a holy moment for me. Completely unplanned, completely in the moment.
It's me giving back to the business now. I'm enjoying it.
Brock is one of the most giving performers when it's his time, and he will make anyone look great.
Former WWE employee is suing Vince McMahon, claiming he abused and sexually exploited her.
McMahon recruited individuals to have sexual relations with Miss Grant.
A lawsuit that shook the wrestling world. Former WWE employee Janelle Grand made serious allegations against Vince McMahon, a scandal that affected not only the man at the top of the company, but also dragged other big names into the maelstrom, among them Brock Lesnar. His name is mentioned in the lawsuit. Grant says Vince McMahon forced her to produce sexual content specifically for Lesnar, personalized videos tailored to his preferences. There was also supposed to be a meeting between Lesnar and Grant. They were going to have dinner in Connecticut and then go to Vince McMahon's apartment. But that never happened. According to the legal documents, Lesnar was too drunk and was taken straight back to the airport. Lesnar is not facing any charges, but according to Grant and some of the evidence, he was part of Vince McMahon's alleged schemes. The allegations paint a picture where Vince repeatedly offered Lesnar female employees for sexual services. Vince McMahon had to step down as CEO and leave the company as a result of the lawsuit, and WWE distanced themselves from Lesnar. He was extremely disappointed that WWE turned their back on him instead of standing by him. They completely removed him from their plans. The match between Lesnar and Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship was called off. WWE had him deleted from various video games and even briefly from the website roster page. Lesnar once again resigned himself to life outside the spotlight and outside of wrestling, as he did during COVID. But 2 years later, they wanted him back. When Brock Lesnar celebrated his comeback, the internet was on fire. It was a very controversial decision, and wrestling fans around the world argued about it. Some celebrated him as a legend. As long as there is no verdict, it's unfair to cancel him. Others were outraged and demanded consequences. After such accusations, Brock Lesnar should no longer be a part of WWE, especially because they are not the first accusations of this kind. The digital trench warfare escalated. Fans insulted and blocked each other. The same comments kept appearing under videos of the comeback. Some wrote, "This is cancel culture. You want to destroy careers before anything has even been proven." Others countered, "This is exactly the kind of attitude that has protected offenders for decades." It was a culture war in wrestling, a fight about whose words you can believe and whose words you want to believe. Paul Heyman responded to all of this in an interview.
There's always going to be critics of anything that we do. And very few people ever make it to the top in life without either making mistakes or having skeletons in their closet. If they're critics of it, get over it. He's here. And he's going to be here. And you ain't going to be able to cancel him.
There was another aspect that fans couldn't keep quiet about. Lesnar came back stronger and more massive than ever. Many said it's the scariest version of Brock Lesnar they had ever seen. He must have used steroids. How could a man of his age hulk up like that without some chemical assistance?
If you picture a superhero in your mind that came straight out of a comic book, he would look like Brock Lesnar, but probably not be as big, bad, or strong as Brock Lesnar.
The mountains of muscle are and remain his trademark. But even the body of Brock Lesnar will wear down. He won't be in the ring forever.
How long do you think you could see yourself potentially wrestling?
As long as them dollar bills come. I don't know how long I'm going to be around. Every time that I think that I want to be done, I get in the ring, and that's the part of the business that I really love.
This new Brock enjoys every second of his appearances. Fans have noticed a new calmness about him in recent years.
I feel great, 20 years in, and I'm having fun with it. I don't give a shit, if I up.
When asked about his legacy, Lesnar reacts as he is known to do.
I don't really care or give a shit. If I'm serious, I don't. Yeah. I don't give a f if I'm in the Hall of Fame or not. I've done what I did. I don't care.
Lesnar doesn't care if others call him a legend, whether he appears in any top 5 lists or has a good reputation. But his companions and colleagues are deeply impressed by him.
He can do whatever he sets his mind to. And I think his legacy will be his talent. What he was able to contribute not only to amateur wrestling and pro wrestling and MMA, but to the world. He's entertained fans for years.
I'll be the first to say it, he's in a class by himself.
Brock Lesnar, I don't believe gets the credit he should at being one of the all-time greats at this.
I think Brock Lesnar is an awesome wrestler. I think he's got great psychology, and he's some of the greatest matches in the history of wrestling.
He is absolutely one of the best professional wrestlers on the planet when he wants to show up.
Lesnar has changed. He's got his aggression under control and has become more relaxed in his old age. Believe it or not, by now, he even meets up with his neighbors sometimes.
I finally feel comfortable enough to interject myself into the community that I'm in, and it's rewarding. It's really rewarding.
Brock can still be considered, the most dangerous competitor now.
Have you ever had a fan come out? Seth freaking Rollins, you know?
Somebody
Oh, yeah.
came sprinting behind the barrier and tried to spear him. I f***ing dare somebody.
Oh, no. I dare the next dude.
I've loved what I've been doing for the last, 30 years of my life. Not being scared of putting the work in. Not being scared to get up and do the things that other people don't want to do. And I think that's really what separated me. I'm an athlete and I've been able to put food on my family's table being an athlete, and so I'm fortunate.
Ladies and